Hi, welcome to Jordan's Backyard Chickens. My name is Jordan Wright, and I've been receiving several great questions across my social media platforms and offline, helping people become more sustainable, raising food for their family, and being able to tell what's inside their food and how the animals are being raised. And it's a very important. I've grouped these questions so we can stay on topic and better help you with your chickens. Some of the questions I've been receiving are regarding getting a flock started and having small flocks of chickens. So I want to answer 3 of these questions. Thank you to everyone who has already submitted questions in the comment section, emailed me, or even talked to me offline. After we are finished answering these questions I've organized, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the next long form video that you can expect to see on my channels. I'm really excited to finish this up, and I'm really hoping you guys enjoy it as well. So these are my opinions after helping a lot of different families get into raising chickens for enjoyment and also to feed their family. And it's okay if you don't agree with me. In fact, if you see it differently than I do, I'd love you to comment down below and get a discussion going to help all of the new people that are looking to get into this hobby. It is important, though, that we understand people come from all types of backgrounds, and especially with the chicken hobby growing, may not have the same life experiences that you do, and they may have different levels of chicken expertise than what you have currently, and that's completely fine. We just need to make certain that the chat stays civil and everyone is welcome. So I know for a lot of you, you will be watching this after the live ends, and I will be sure to watch the comments and interact with you. I'll answer any of your questions down below in the comment section when they come in, and even if I'm going to use your question in my live video for a future live, you can still expect that your answer and your question will be answered. It's very important to me, and I really appreciate you taking the time to leave it. So let me know if you enjoy this format, and if you have any questions and think of any interesting things to talk about, I'd love to hear about them. Simply drop them down in the comments below. I'm cross-platforming, so whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, send me an email to jordansbackyardchickens@gmail.com or come talk to me offline. So let's get started. So question number 1 comes from GNU Religion. And it's a very good question because especially right now, we're starting to get into spring and more people are starting to look at chickens and getting their own flock of chickens as the egg prices go up and as uncertainties happen in the egg market. So would you start your flock with a bunch of commercial pullets of the same age and just add a rooster later? Or does a flock of chickens on a toy farm work better with a range of ages between the individuals? And I really appreciate this question. So I know several people who have, if you're talking about a commercial pullets, taken old commercial farm birds. There's a big breeder and grower here in the country, in the state of Ohio, that takes them, raises them up, and uses them until their production starts falling off, which is going to be about 1.5 to 2 years. And these are normally going to be a crossbreed between, say, an ISO white or ISO brown. The ISO browns are going to lay brown eggs, and the ISO whites are going to lay white eggs. Or they might be a golden comet, but they're normally going to be a crossbreed. So a couple things that we need to keep in mind when we are talking about having males. Why are we having a male? Because if you are planning on taking these birds that you got from a production facility, a commercial lot, and you are going to breed them to produce more, you're going to take an ISO white and you're going to breed it to produce more ISO whites. Well, when they crossbreed these animals, they are hitting on a hybrid that maximizes the amount of eggs that they produce in a short amount of time with the least amount of feed possible being fed. You're not going to get that in the offspring. You will move farther and farther away from that hybridization that they hit on. So if that was your idea, I wouldn't, honestly, even have a male. He's just going to eat food and be there. And take up space in your chicken coop. If you were to take a male, get a male, and have protection for your flock, that would be a toss up to me. I had several males when my chickens all got killed by the neighbor's dog, and none of them really protected the flock. They all got killed. So that sometimes it works out to protect the flock, depending on what predators it is. Sometimes it doesn't. If it was me and I had a small flock in my backyard, I would actually take and try to get started pullets that are younger, that have just started laying. Instead of the 1.5 to 2 years that we're going to get off of a commercial farm, you're still not going to have to raise them as day-old chicks all the way through if you're not set up for that. And you can take and have the breeds that you really want. Some breeds are more social. Some breeds will fit into your family and what you're looking to do in your flock. Some breeds, we might have a smaller chicken coop and need bantams, are better sustained for a smaller, more confined area than others, like your game birds. I would not suggest you take co-shamus and shamus and put them in together in a very confined area. That is a recipe for disaster. So that's how I would answer that question. And so I really appreciate you, GNU Religion, for your question. So the next question comes from someone anonymous. And I have one chicken coop. Can I raise meat chickens and layer chickens together? Okay, so this is a great question because a lot of people, like I said, are getting into chickens and want to produce both meat and eggs for their family. So it's all going to depend on what age your chickens are and also the breeds. If you were to, for instance, here in Ohio we have Meyer Hatchery, get a Rainbow Ranger or get a dual-purpose bird or a Delaware. Those are going to be fine probably to keep all together. We, of course, would want to make certain that if we're raising Rainbow Rangers, which look very similar to a Rhode Island Red or a New Hampshire, we have them separated so that we don't butcher off our layer chickens instead of our meat birds. Because they're going to look very similar. I believe they have the same ancestral history. So, if you're going to do that, then you're fine. I would feed them all a 22% layer or a 22% starter feed and not a layer feed, so that you have those birds up and gaining at their peak potential, so you can butcher them off when the time is right. If I had to guess, a Rainbow Ranger, you're going to look at about 12 to 16 weeks of growth. Now, if you want the maximum amount of meat at the quickest time with the least amount of feed, you're definitely going to look at a broiler chicken. And here is where your problems may come in handy. So, broiler chickens and layer chickens, when they are young, can be kept together, make sure the brooder box stays cleaned out and everything, and you'll be fine. About week 3, these broiler chickens are going to start to get really big compared to your layer chickens, and they're really going to start getting lazy. That is where my family have had to break them apart and separate them, because they start to make a lot of mess that the layers really aren't tolerating, and they start to get in the way of them. So if you had one chicken coop, is your chicken coop big enough that you can make 2 different pens in it to keep your broilers over here and your layers over here? Or another thing that you could have is your permanent chicken coop could raise a layer chicken and then raise your broiler chickens in a chicken tractor. That would be another way that you could fix that. So I really appreciate your question. And then the third question that we have came from somebody offline talking to me in public. And when introducing new chickens to my flock, what is the best way to do this? And so let me start off by saying, completely honest, Some chickens flat will not get along with other chickens. Your game breeds, sometimes they have a hard time of settling down and mashing into a mixed flock. Sometimes they have a hard time of settling down and mashing into a flock of just themselves of their own breed. So we gotta watch that. But the best way that I've ever seen people integrate chickens, if you have the space, is to split your coop down, have a fence between the new chickens and the old chickens so that they smell like each other, get to about the same size, and really get to see and interact with each other without just being tossed together. That would probably be the best way that I've ever seen people take mixed flocks and put them together. How do I personally do it? So chickens have a thing called a pecking order, and that is them establishing dominance over one chicken over another chicken, and they have to do this. If you take chickens and introduce them at night, by the morning, and so you introduce them, you step away so that the chickens can't see you, and yes, the chickens actually will, for a little bit, be stunned, not do anything, and then they'll continue doing their chicken thing. So if you do that with the lights off, they will get together, and by the morning, most of the time, they will smell like each other. Make certain when you introduce them that they are not fighting and they're not trying to attack one of the chickens. Make certain also that you're not just putting one brand new chicken into the coop. Probably not going to put one brand new chicken in, but if you had chickens that are similar size and you had a handful, 3, 4 of them that you're introducing, this would work perfect. In the morning, most of the time, we have no problems with them fighting. They've already pecked, and they've already gotten and established their pecking order. So I hope that helped answer your question, and I really appreciate it. So, what can you expect as far as the next long-form video on my channel? I've been working hard, researching information for it, and the next long-form video will be on cassowaries, which are beautiful birds. And if you don't know or have never heard of a cassowary before, here in America, we have a lot of farms with emus in them. They're very similar because they're relatives to an emu, and they're both wild birds out of Australia. They, however, have some very distinct things. Of course, the way that they look. How a guinea has a helmet, an emu has a very similar thing on top of their head. And they're one of the world's deadliest birds. They are so deadly because of their speed at which they run, their body mass, and the long talons or long toenails that they possess. So I really appreciate you watching my YouTube and Facebook live video. If you have any questions that you would like me to talk about, comment down below, and I would be happy to answer them in the comments and include them on a future video. I hope you have a nice day. Bye.